पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुकारो अन्धकारो वैरुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकारनिरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नमो भगवते वैवस्वताय मृत्यवे ब्रह्म विद्या आचार्याय नचिकेतसे नमः। So we are in the second chapter of the Kaṭha Upaniṣad, and that chapter has 3 sections, and we are in the second section. Second section, 11th verse. I will read that mantra which we have already gone through in the last class for the connection and for brushing it up. We will go once more. सूर्यो यथा सर्वलोकस्य चक्षुः न लिप्यते चाक्षुषैः बाह्यदोषैः एकः तथा सर्वभूतान्तरात्मा न लिप्यते लोकदुःखेन बाह्यः. Once more I will read. सूर्यो यथा सर्वलोकस्य चक्षुः न लिप्यते चाक्षुषैः बाह्यदोषैः एकः तथा सर्वभूतान्तरात्मा न लिप्यते लोकदुःखेन बाह्यः. The meaning of this verse: Suryaha, sun, being the only eye of this whole world. Why it is told as the eye of the world? Because of the sunlight only everything happens in this material world. Whether plants or animals, due to the daylight, they can conduct their daily life. So, sun is equated to the eye of the world. Suryaha yatha sarvalokasya. Sarvaloka means whatever we perceive in the world as sentient and insentient, for all of them, the eye is sun. By the sun only they will survive, they can survive. So that the eye of the world is sun. But the problem is many logicians may argue. That argument is brought into by Adi Shankara in his commentary, but the verse is being given as an advice to Nachiketas for the clarity and for the ascertainment of the Eka Atma, one and only consciousness exists as the substratum of this universe. For that clarity, he gives this advice. But in this verse, Shankara brings a beautiful argument, and For that argument, this verse is an answer. Like this, he comments. We will see that. And na lipyade chakshushaihi bhashyehi, not being touched by the impurities which are being lighted by that light of that sun. Na lipyade, not tainted, not being touched, untouched by the impurities of this universe. What are the impurities? A lot of impurities are there in this world. Those impurities also being lighted up by the sunlight, still it is ever pure. Like we saw certain things which are not useful in our daily life, like a drainage, mud, dust, etc. we see in our daily life through our eyes. It doesn't mean that that impurity entered in our eyes. Our eyes can reveal whatever things right in front of us. That doesn't mean that those impurities touched the eyes. Similarly, the sunlight reveals everything, but those impurities will not touch the sunlight, or it will not make impure the sunlight. Similarly, now keeping this example inside our mind, ekaha tatha sarva bhutantaratma. Third line, ekaha, the one, the only one, the one consciousness, sarva bhuta antaratma, residing in all things in the world. The self which is residing in the sentient things and also in the insentient things will not be tainted or touched by the unhappiness and the sorrows occurring or happening to the world or to our body. Na lipyade loga dukkhena bahyaha. Bahyaha. It can be converted into formless by virtue of its subtleness, which is beyond the senses. Being formless, whatever things occur in our physical body or in this material world, those things will not affect this all-pervasive, all-knowing entity which is being the substratum of this universe. Sarva Bhuta Antaratma. Antaratma means which resides in each and everything. It should be converted as the substratum of everything. Then only the meaning will be clear. The substratum will not be touched by the limitations or the defects or the issues which are for the body of an individual body or this world. And Shankara gives 4 examples, which I already mentioned you. First, he take a rope. Rope will not be affected by the superimposition of the snake, or after superimposing the snake, we again superimpose. It is a big snake. That big will not be affecting, that big will not touch the rope or any other superimposition, further superimpositions. If we give to the snake, will not touch the rope. He gave 4 examples. One is snake rope. Other is Maru Marichika, the water which is superimposed on the desert will not make it wet. Any superimposition is just a superimposition. It is not a real phenomenon or an entity. So, Ushara Desha Jalavad, Udagavad. Just as in the desert, when we look very far, we see the glacier of the sun make it appear as some water body in front of us, little bit far. It is not there at all. It's only a superimposition due to the sunrise. And again, he gives a third example. Any example should be common and usual, which should be very familiar for the world. That is why he took these examples. Rajju Sarpam, Marumarichika Jalam. And also, he takes another example. Shuktika Rajatam. In the full moon day, when we walk through the shore of the sea, there will be a shining silver right in front of us, a piece of silver. When we take with our hands and when we look carefully, we find it out. It's just a shell. But the shining made us to superimpose as a piece of silver. The superimposition is only inside our head, not outside. So any superimposition will not affect. Any superimposition is a mistake which occur in our head due to not knowing or ignorance. Ignorance is the base of superimposition. So superimposition is not affecting the thing which is evident to me, not making any different in a thing. It is just a notion which is inside my buddhi, intellect, a mistake. Due to not knowing the real thing, I commit a mistake on the thing which I perceive in this world. That mistake will not make any difference for the real entity which is evident to me, what I see in front of me. Even though the rope is not being perceived by me in a dark room, when I stepped upon that, I just superimpose from my mistake that, oh, this is a snake, and run away outside the room. That mistake never make any issues, any problem to the real rock. Similarly, to the shelf or to the desert. And also, he says the space also. When we look at the space, yes, I will confirm that sky. When we look at the space, we say it's a blue sky. But in reality, there is no color for the space. The space means room space, pot space, a space inside the cave, a space inside the stomach. We know that it is colorless. Due to the cloud, we impose a color on this space. Blue sky, very common for everybody. Neela Akasham. There is no color for the sky. Keeping these examples in our mind, we come to the reality of the soul, the self, the Brahman. By virtue of its subtleness and all-pervasiveness, it is formless. Being formless, it will not be touched by any limitations pertaining to the body. Our body have different limitations. We all know that. First of all, I am a male or I am a female. Female will limit the male way of living, or the male will limit the female instincts. And after that, first superimposition is that, and I am in this shape. My organs are like this. My skin is like this. My hair is like this. I born in a country. I am a 5-year-old boy. A 16-year-old woman I am. A 14-year-old man I am. Lot of limitations in terms of country, in terms of gender, in terms of body shape, in terms of certain defects occurring in the body by birth. All these are making certain unhappiness in our life, certain sorrow, certain worries. And I try to change due to the comparison towards the world. I want to become like that because I am now like this. As Puja Swamiji says, Swami Dayananda says, this wanting of, I want to change to be like that from this appearance, I want to be like that. This is called samsara. When the mind says again and again, because of my non-acceptance, I cannot accept myself because I take myself as a superimposed body. In real, I am not this superimposed body. I am not a doer, karta, naham. Apurnatvam is not at all in my nature. Apurnatvam means unfulfilledness. Everything is completely clear. Purnatvam. Atma, the soul, the self, the Brahman is defectless due to its formless. This consciousness is defectless, defect free. Purnamada Purnamidam. Whatever I study, that consciousness, it's defect free. It is completely peace and full. Never lack anything. Purnamidam, the one who studies, and what is the substratum, what is the intrinsic nature of the person who studies? That individual is also that Brahman only, lacks nothing. That knowledge being not there, superimposition is my guiding factor. So that I think myself, I have defects, I have limitations, I have worries, I have sorrows. But these sorrows, worries, limitations, defects pertaining to the body, pertaining to the mind, pertaining to my organs, pertaining to my senses, will not touch this individual soul, the self. It is ever pure, Nitya Shuddham. We are very much familiar with this word. Whether I take a bath or not, I am Nitya Shuddha. From the standpoint of reality, I am eternal pure. When I am the periodic time, it's a cycle once in a month, every female should go. Still I am ever pure. I touched a dog, still I am ever pure. Somebody died in my family, still I am ever pure to touch the vessels of my altar. Nothing will happen in this world if I superimpose something on this eternal, ever pure Brahman. All this purity and impurity are based upon this duality of the world. Nothing will happen. There is no connection with the impurities which are pertaining to our material world and to my body. There is no connection to the ever pure Brahman. It will not make it impure. But mere superimposition, superimposition happens due to ignorance. Because of the superimposition, false notion on the substances, rope, etc., which are the base of them, it will not affect this base. So maybe understand, from the standpoint of creation, when we take ourselves as a body, we have to go through certain systems to make us pure and impure. Because body has to take bath daily. We have to brush. We have to clean our room. We should wash our hands after touching my pet dog, before doing a puja in our altar. It's all in the creation as a manner, as a system, and also as a safety measure in my life. But from the ultimate standpoint of reality, whatever superimposition due to the ignorance, I myself commits in my life, and I become worried. Oh, I am this body, I am not beautiful. Somebody cheated me. I am not pure at all in my life. Somebody took advantage of me. I am not beautiful. I am not pure with my heart. I have this type of emotions in my life. So I am crooked in my life. I have this type of thoughts in my life, so that I am not innocent in my life. All these things are making us worried. People take themselves, I am not innocent in this world because I have this type of emotions. I am cheated by somebody. I have taken advantages by somebody, so that I am not pure at all in this world. I do certain work in my daily life so that my hands are impure. My mind is impure. Leave it, all these things. Keep away all these things. When you come to reality, it will not affect. Whatever things you have done with your body will not affect the base, the substratum of the body, which is the overlord of this world and universe and this body. That consciousness being subtle, that consciousness being formless, it will not have any issues. Those issues which are being your major issues in your mind due to the mistaken identity about oneself, the ignorance being there about the individual self, not knowing the intrinsic nature, one take oneself as this body, because body is visible for our senses. And the people also given certain ideas that you are this body. Government also given an identity card. I have passport. I have election card. I have school certificate. In that school certificate, my identification marks are marked. That those identification marks are pertaining to my body. So I clearly understand I am this body, and it is deep rooted. It is not something which can take away easily by one class. Continuously listening to the reality, only repeated corrections we need to remove the habitual errors. So continuously listening the reality will help the person to take away the body notion. As long as the body notion continues, it's a mere superimposition. We will have all kind of issues and worries, sorrows, etc., etc. So here, Adi Shankara confirms that. I will read Shankara's words. I would like to. Lokaha, the world, avidyaya, due to ignorance. Swa Atmani, in this individual self, or all this all pervasive Brahman. Kama karma udbhavam dukkham anubhavati. Due to desire, due to the doership, due to the action, something which produces a result, due to an action, due to a desire, we will be involving in action. Kama karma udbhavam. The cause of sorrow is due to desire, and from the desire by doing an action, anubhavati, suffers. Shankara says, the world due to ignorant, superimposes on this self, which is the origination of happiness. People imposing that I am this body. By this body, I involve in certain actions. An action is always presupposed by a desire, and it will end up in certain sorrows or worries, and we suffers. So Shankara says properly, Natu sa paramarthataha swatmani. But in reality, or in real, these sorrows never existed at any point of time in our all-pervasive Brahman. Because of the superimposition of a snake on the robe, I get sweat. I get shivering. I run away from the snake. All the actions which I made by superimposing something which never existed at any point of time in a robe. Thus, sorrow pops up. There is a snake, whether it bitten me, I have to check myself. I'm sweating a lot now. Due to superimposition of a snake on the robe in the dark room, how much I suffer. Similarly, in this world, people made me misunderstanding that they give certain notions. They gave, you are this body, you are in this color with your skin, your shape is like that. All these things are just mere superimpositions, and I compare myself to others, and I become unhappy in my life. Thus, Shankara says this sentence, Natu, in reality, it never existed in this all-pervasive Brahman. Yatha, then he says that Rajju Shuktiga Udaga Gaganeshu. Rajju in the robe, Shuktiga in the shell, in the Ushara in the desert, Gagana in the sky. What never existed, respectively, Sarpa, Rajata, Udaka, Malani. In the robe, there is no existence of a snake at any point of time. In the shell, there is no existence of the silver at any point of time, even though I perceived certain shining of the silver. Ushara, in the desert, there is no real existence of the water at any point of time. Gaganam, in the sky, there is no existence of impurity or any color at any point of time. We just superimpose all these things in our daily life, all these things respectively. He says properly. Nanu Rajvatinam Sotaha Dosharupani Sandhi. On these things, there is no defects or limitations of the superimposed things in real. I superimpose the snake in the rope. It doesn't mean that the venom contains in a rope. Venom is a thing which is pertaining to the snake's body. I cannot superimpose venom in the rope. Whatever things contains in the snake's body, in a snake form. In reality, that things will not be there in the rock, or we cannot superimpose on the individual self. Now come to the real necessity of this example. There is a color for my skin. There is a shape for my face. There is a limitation for my hands and legs. There is a limitation in thinking of my brain. All these limitations and defects will not be pertaining to the individual self. We can just superimpose on the individual self like this. Oh, I don't have memory. In reality, I will go to the individual self. The memory go to the body. But I took myself, I am this body. So I say this sentence, I don't have memory. In reality, I am free from all defects and sorrows and worries. My body has a lot of defects and sorrows and worries in this empirical world, but the intellectual person, the person who studied the scriptures under a traditional teacher, and so much discrimination he got regarding Atma, Anatma, and he discriminate all the worries and sorrows and the limitations are only pertaining to the body, not for me. I am ever pure, eternal, defectless Brahman. This is the message of this verse. I will read once more for the clarity so that it will be helpful. Suryaha yatha sarvalokasya chakshuhu na lipyade chakshusaihi bahyadoshaihi. Just as the sun and its light will not be tainted by the impurities which are lighted by the sunlight, Ekaha tatha sarva bhutantaratma, the one and only self which is all pervasive, Ekaha tatha sarva bhutantaratma, which is the base and the substratum of each and everything in this world or for this universe, na lipyade, never touched, never tainted by the loga dukkhena, the worries and the sorrows which are the guiding factors of an individual. Bahyaha. Because this Brahman is subtle, ever pure, and also formless. Don't think, is there anything exist in the world which is formless? Yes, of course. Because by virtue of its subtleness, we cannot see with our eyes, but it is evident for me. I exist. That very sentence says that in order to perceive a superimposition that I am this body, there should be something which is evident to me. That Brahman exists. On that Brahman, I superimposed my body. After superimposing my body, I superimposed all kinds of impurities on this body, all kinds of limitations in this body. That limitations never existed at any point of time in this ever pure. And this is the message. Now we will go to the next verse. These are all the advice. These are all the instructions given by the Lord Death to Nachiketas. Nachiketas asked, what is beyond the dharma and adharma, virtue and vice? What is beyond existing from the future and the past? Never change at any point of time. Yattat pashyati tadvata. May you give me that instruction. For that Lord Death gives all these instructions. Okay? And again Lord Death says now, Ekaha vashi sarva bhutantaratma. Ekam rupam bahuta yat karoti. Before that, I would like to give a verse which is connected with the previous verse, which right now we saw in the Mandukya Karika. I love that. In the Mandukya Karika means almost 300 verses composed by Gaudapada Acharya, who is the guru of Govinda Bhagavat Padar, who is the guru of Adi Shankara, the person who commented this commentary to this Kaṭha Upaniṣad. So Gaudapada says in his Gaudapada Karika, Mandukya Upanishad is a text which is profound, giving the explanation about the Omkara. For that Upanishad, Mandukya Upanishad, in tradition, we have Karika, almost 300 verses, which talks about the explanation of this Upanishad. If the time permits, we will study that also. In that Karika, in his third chapter, fifth verse, he says, Yatha ekasmin gathatashe rejo dhumadipir yute na sarve samprayujjande tattvajiva sukhadibihi. Yatha ekasmin gatakashe rejo dhumadipir yute na sarve samprayujjande tattvajiva sukhadibihi. Even though the space is universal and one, the space is one by virtue of its all-pervasiveness. We just say this is bathroom, this is kitchen, this is hall, this is my bedroom, etc., etc. Due to four walls. Really speaking, there is no such limitation for the space. Space is all-pervasive. But when we take a pot, it's a pot space. It's not a kitchen. It's a pot space. Due to the shape of the pot, and there is a space inside the pot, it's a pot space. This pot space will not get affected by the limitations of the pot. A pot which is having a crack, there is a small piece of the neck has already gone, broken. There is a hole in this pot body. These are all limitations of the pot. And some dust is there, some smoke is there, some dust particles are slowly coming outside the pot when I took the pot and shaken. So lot of limitations for the pot's body. There is a hole, there is a crack, there is already a piece has gone from the neck, a broken neck. And there are a lot of dust, mud, etc. All these limitations, Gaudapada says in his Karika, will not affect the pot space. These are all pertaining to the pot's body. The pot space is ever pure. Similarly, when you take yourself as a jiva, I am a man, my father is he, my mother is she, I belong to this country, I belong to this state, I belong to this house. I am in this color. I have certain issues with my body. I have issues with my eyes. I have issues with my teeth. I have issues with my ears. I have certain benefits and I have some features which I can draw. All these things are pertaining to the body, not pertaining to the all-pervasive Brahman. So this verse in this Karika says, whatever limitations when a pot is having, those limitations will not affect the space of which is inside the pot. That will be ever pure, and that space will be all pervasive also. Due to the limitation of the pot, we say pot space. In reality, we know that pot space is all pervasive. Due to the pot, we say pot space. But in reality, it is a all pervasive space. So that verse also will get connected. When I read this verse in memory, it came so that I just gone to Mandukya Upanishad and I just want to share with you. Much less same meaning according to the Gaudapada Karika also. Now come to the new verse. We can see. Now, Gaudapa, our Yama Dharma, Lord Yama says now, the person who has this vision, what vision? Let me see what's the time so that I can carry with the things, Let me see. Yeah, we have. Lord Death says that suppose a person in his life come to study under a traditional teacher and he or she got this vision. That person will not lack his happiness at any point of time. The worries may come to the mind. It may go after a period of time. It means very easily. In material life, we are subject to worries, some certain issues and everything. But in reality, if a person comes to know that I am this all-pervasive Brahman, that person will be always happy within oneself in spite of all the limitations and sorrows and worries coming continuously, which are affecting the body. He says here, Lord Death says through this verse. I will read the verse and I'll give you the meaning. Eko vashi sarva bhutantaratma ekam rupam bahuta yah karoti tam atmastam yenanu pashyanti dhira tesham sukham shashvatam na itaresham. I will read once more. Eko vashi sarva bhutantaratma ekam rupam bahuta yah karoti tam atmastam yenanu pashyanti dhira tesham sukham shashvatam na itaresham. Now I will give you the meaning. It's a very beautiful verse, but we need one class more to complete the whole meaning. Slowly we will start anyway. Now I am starting from the last sentence, Tesham sukham shashvatam na itaresham. What is meant by that? Sukham, happiness. Tesham, for those, happiness will be permanent. Means they will not get affected by the material issues. Even though they comes, they stays, they goes. Agama apai. In the words of Krishna, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, Agama apayinaha anityaha. They are impermanent. They come, they stay, they go. Any worry? No need to worry about the worries. Whether it is a pain, pain is not there by birth. It's not my intrinsic nature. The pain which is there for my body or the mind comes, stays, and goes. Should go, because it's not my intrinsic nature. What is my intrinsic nature? It will not go. What is not my intrinsic nature? It should go. Because of my superimposition, the pain is there, the worry is there. Fine. For those who understood properly, for them, the happiness is permanent. The iteration, not for the others. This is the meaning of the last sentence. Now I will come to the first sentence. What should one know to get the permanent happiness? What should one know? Lord Death says to Nachiketas, Ekaha Vashi Sarva Bhutantaratma. All these words are pointing the only self, the only substratum of this universe. Ekaha. What is meant by Ekaha? Ekaha means one. In Sanskrit, Ekaha means one. Ek in Hindi. Ekaha, one. The one substratum of the universe, the one substratum of every body in the world. Like one clay is the cause of the entire pot world. Similarly, the one substratum is the cause of this entire universe. That's why one is very important. The very philosophy is called the Advaita philosophy. Non-duality, not called monoism. We perceive duality from the traditional teachers. We logically, by the help of scriptures, what I perceive is untrue. We come to know that. That is why it's called non-duality. I perceive continuously before studying and after studying. That doesn't mean that it is real. We come to know by the help of the scriptures and by the help of traditional teachers. The duality which I perceive is not real. It's only an apparent reality. Like the moon appearing into two for a person who has defect in the eyes, like one who have a problem with the vision, the moon appears into two. Like the person who has not understood properly about the nature and about the substratum of the creation, he perceives there are different things in the world. It's a defect in our vision. What vision? Not the vision of the eyes, but the vision of the mind. A mistake being deep-rooted. My glasses, the measuring scale is wrong. I measure the world according to my body. There are different bodies. That itself make me to conclude myself that the world is dualistic. So the ekaha, the word should be echoed in the mind. The world is one. Ekameva adhyutiyam brahma. Ekam sat vipra bahuta vatanti. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidhiyate. Kshetrajnam chapimam vidhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. The very word ekaha being praised, highlighted in different shrutis. In Bhagavad Gita, 13th chapter opens like this. This body, O Arjuna, is the field for somebody. Kshetram, the plane of action. The resider of this field, the body, is called Kshetrajna, the knower of this field. Senses are there, external organs are there, everything comes together to employ in a work. For whom? The resider inside this body. And remember, Arjuna, the resider is one in every body. Kshetrajnam, the knower of this field, is only one, even though the bodies, the different bodies are there in this world. A cockroach body is there, a turtle body is there, a crocodile body is there, a human body is there, a body of a star is there. Still, the knower of the body is one in every being. Very beautifully, he explained to Arjuna. And in another Upanishad, Ekam Sat, the one entity is the truth, but it appears in many. Bahuda Vadanti. The knower says, the Rishi say, there is only one reality, and this reality became many. Ekam Sat Vipra Bahuta Vadanti. That is why Ekaha, the word should be understood properly. And also the point is, whenever I confirm myself, there is no second entity in the world, I should be free from thirst, because my thirst is due to a second thing. Dvaidadhi bhayam bhavati. Taittiriya Upanishad says that. Dvaitam, duality is the cause of fear. So ekaha, when there is only one thing in the world, there is no second thing to make me fear. When a person comes, his intrinsic nature is also Brahman. I will never die. I don't have threat at all. When I see a dog, Lord appears in the form of the dog, which is also my intrinsic nature. Similarly, we have to confirm myself. Due to the discrimination that I am this non-dual Brahman, Ekaha. We will see more explanation about each and every word in coming class. Just we have started the very word Ekaha. May you understand properly. There is only one thing. On that one thing, each and every form and names are superimposed. Like one clay appears in different pots and different names and forms in this world. We will see in the next class. Om Swasti Prajabhya Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Gobrahmanebhya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshadu Parjanyaha Prithvi Sasya Shadini Deshoyam Choparahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhayaha Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamatav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.